I remember the sound first, the soft creak of hinges giving in to age, the faint sigh of wood shifting in place. I was tightening the last screw when I heard her footsteps approach, slow, deliberate, like someone testing the floor for memory. She said my name differently than anyone else ever did, quiet, almost tasting the syllables before letting them go. "You're good with your hands," she murmured, half smiling as she leaned against the frame, her arms folded. The light from the hall caught the side of her face, and I swear the air changed temperature. She was older, you could tell, not from lines, but from calm. The kind that made silence feel heavier, made small talk seem unnecessary. Her hair was tied loosely, one strand falling over her cheek. I wanted to reach for it, not to move it, just to know what it felt like. I tightened another screw, pretending I didn't feel her watching. "It was just loose," I said, though I was sure she already knew. The door hung straight again, but the room tilted in another way. She stepped closer, inspecting my work, or maybe me. Her perfume wasn't strong, just enough to notice when she was near. Something like cedar and faint vanilla. It stayed with me even when I stepped back. "You do this kind of thing often?" she asked, voice low. "Only when someone asks nicely." Her laugh was small, real. It didn't fill the room, it stayed between us, close, private. She brushed her hand against the edge of the door as if testing the repair, and her fingers grazed mine. Barely. But enough that I forgot the rest of the sentence I was about to say. She didn't pull back immediately, neither did I. The space between us felt like a held breath. I could hear the clock in the kitchen ticking. The house was too quiet, like it knew something was about to happen. She shifted, her shoulder almost touching mine. "You missed a spot," she whispered, pointing toward the hinge. I leaned in to look, but there was nothing wrong with it. The hinge was fine. Still, she stayed close, her voice right beside my ear. "There," she said again, softer now. I nodded, though I wasn't sure what I was agreeing to. The metal was cold against my hand, her warmth wasn't. For a moment, neither of us spoke. There wasn't anything to say that wouldn't sound like pretending. She took a slow step backward, and I thought she was leaving, but instead, her hand reached for the doorknob. The same door I had just fixed. Her eyes met mine, steady, unreadable. "Seems to work perfectly now," she said. The door began to swing shut behind me. It wasn't fast, just quiet and sure, like a decision made long before it happened. And before I could say a word, before I could ask what she meant, the latch clicked. I turned, she was still there, inches away, her fingers resting on the inside of the door. We stood facing each other in that small, still room, the kind where sound doesn't travel, where everything you don't say lingers in the air. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "Let's make sure it stays closed this time." The house exhaled with us, and somewhere in the distance, thunder began to roll. It rained the next day, one of those slow, unhurried rains that made the world sound smaller. She'd called to thank me for fixing the door, though it wasn't really about the door. Her voice was softer on the phone than I remembered, a little uncertain before she hung up. By evening, I was back at her house, just to check if the latch held. That was my excuse. She was in the kitchen when I arrived, sleeves rolled up, hair tied higher this time. The sound of the rain against the window filled the spaces between our words. "You didn't have to come," she said without turning. "I know." That made her pause. She glanced over her shoulder, the corner of her mouth curling. "Then why did you?" I didn't answer. Maybe I didn't know how. She poured tea for both of us, though she didn't ask if I wanted any. We sat across from each other, the table between us smaller than I remembered. Her fingers circled the rim of her cup while mine stayed wrapped around the warmth of mine. "I used to be married," she said suddenly. "He was kind, but we stopped being kind before we stopped being married." She didn't look up as she said it. I didn't interrupt. The rain did enough talking for both of us. I'd never told her much about myself, just that I did repairs sometimes, that I was studying part-time. That was true. What I didn't say was how easily I got attached to people who didn't stay. When she finally met my eyes, her expression was unreadable, calm on the surface, but there was something like tiredness beneath. Not the kind from lack of sleep, but from holding too much in. It's strange, she said quietly, how someone younger can look at you like you're not fading. My throat tightened before I could reply. A strand of hair slipped loose from her bun. Instinctively, I reached to move it aside. My hand hovered, waiting for permission she didn't give, but didn't refuse either. When my fingers brushed her temple, she inhaled sharply, the sound small and real. Careful, she whispered. You'll make me think you mean it. I do. That broke the air. She stood up quickly, moving past me to the counter, pretending to clean something that didn't need cleaning. Her back was to me, but her reflection in the darkened window gave her away, the tremor in her hand, the way she lingered before turning back. This shouldn't, she began, then stopped. You're too, don't. She looked at me, the same look as before, like she was standing on an edge she couldn't name. The thunder outside rolled again, softer this time, closer. She set the cloth down, came to stand beside me. For a moment, her hand rested on my shoulder, not an invitation, not quite a refusal either. We didn't speak. We didn't have to. The air between us felt charged, heavy with everything unsaid. Then, she turned to blow out the candle on the table, and in the dark, the warmth of her fingers still lingered where she'd touched me. The next time I saw her, the rain had stopped, but everything still smelled like it: damp earth, cooled stone, and something lingering in the air that shouldn't have lasted this long. She'd asked me to look at a flickering kitchen light. It was an excuse, same as before. We both knew it. When I walked in, she was on the phone, laughing lightly at something. Her tone changed the moment she saw me. I'll call you back, she said, too quickly. The laughter disappeared, leaving a quiet that neither of us seemed ready to fill. The bulb above us blinked once, then steadied like it had changed its mind about going out. You don't have to fix everything here, she said, trying for casual. Maybe not everything, I said, just what breaks. Her eyes held mine a second too long. She looked away first. While I worked, she stood close, too close. The faint scent of her perfume mixed with the metallic smell of the light fixture. Her breath brushed the back of my neck as she leaned in. Careful, she said, her voice low, you might shock yourself. Maybe that's what I came for. A silence followed, small, charged, alive. Her hand brushed my arm, steadying the ladder even though it didn't need steadying. My pulse stumbled. I could feel her eyes tracing the movement of my hands, then my face when I turned slightly. The air felt too thin to breathe. Then a sudden knock on the front door. We both froze. Are you expecting someone? I asked quietly. She shook her head, stepping back fast, smoothing her hair like guilt had weight. It's probably just, the knock came again, sharper this time. I climbed down, brushing past her. The contact was brief but enough to make her inhale. I caught her wrist without meaning to. Her pulse fluttered under my thumb. Stay here, I said. I opened the door. It was her neighbor, Mrs. Kerr, older, talkative, holding a casserole dish. She chatted about the weather, the storm, her garden. I nodded in all the right places, half listening, aware of the faint sound of movement behind me, the way the woman inside the house avoided making a single noise. When I closed the door again, the house felt smaller. She saw your truck, she whispered. She'll talk. Let her. She exhaled, shaking her head. You don't understand. People notice things. They always do. I notice things too, I said quietly. Her eyes softened, or maybe gave up pretending. She reached for the light switch beside me, fingers brushing mine again. This time, neither of us pulled away. Don't, she whispered, though her hand didn't move. I stepped closer, close enough to feel the tremor in her breath. Our faces were inches apart, too near for words, too far for what both of us wanted. The light above us flickered again, stuttering shadows across her face. For a heartbeat, the whole world felt like it was holding still, waiting. Then the bulb steadied, and she whispered, almost to herself, you should go. I didn't. She didn't call this time. I went anyway. The sky had that half-lit color before rain, the kind that makes everything look like it's waiting for something. Her car was in the driveway. One lamp glowed in the living room window, soft and uneven. When she opened the door, she looked startled, but only for a moment. "You shouldn't keep showing up," she said quietly. "Then tell me not to." She didn't. I stepped inside, the air warm and still. She wore a loose sweater, sleeves pushed up, her hair down for once slightly messy, like she hadn't meant to care but did anyway. "You said you'd fix the window latch," she murmured, half to herself. "That was weeks ago." "I remember." Her lips parted like she was going to say more, then closed again. The silence stretched, humming with everything we hadn't said since that night with the light and the neighbor and the almost. I moved closer, and she didn't move back. "I can't do this," she said, her voice too calm for the tremor behind it. "Then stop me." Her breath caught, just once, like the first crack in a dam. "You don't know what you're asking for." "I do." "You're young," she said, shaking her head. "You'll regret this one day. You'll look back and then let it be my mistake." That made her look at me. Really look. The kind of gaze that strips every lie you tell yourself about control. Her hand brushed her hair back, a nervous motion, and I reached up, slow, careful, to help. My fingers found the strand before she could move away. She froze, eyes half closed, like she was afraid to breathe. The space between us disappeared. I could feel the warmth of her skin, the faint tremor under it. Her sweater brushed against my arm, soft, real. Her perfume was the same, cedar and something faintly sweet. "You need to go," she whispered. "Tell me to." I just did. But she didn't move. Something inside her cracked then, maybe resolve, maybe fear. Her voice trembled when she spoke again. "You think this is simple? I have a life. A past. People who would never understand," I finished. Her silence was agreement. The storm broke outside, sudden and loud. Wind pushed against the windows, the curtains shifted like they were breathing. Her hand found the back of the chair for balance. Mine found her wrist. She didn't pull away this time. "I shouldn't want this," she whispered. "But you do." The words hung between us, too heavy to take back. Her other hand came up, resting against my chest, not to push me away, not really. Her thumb brushed the edge of my shirt. Her eyes searched mine, uncertain, afraid, and wanting. I leaned in, not enough to touch, just enough to feel her breath against my lips. The thunder rolled again. The lights flickered. And just as the space between us finally closed, a phone started ringing, sharp, insistent, too real. She turned her face away, eyes closed. "Don't answer it," I whispered. But she already had. The next morning, the world felt too bright, the kind of brightness that hurts after a night you don't talk about. I told myself I wouldn't go back. I even believed it, for a few hours. Then she called. Her voice was steady at first, then cracked on my name. "Someone saw your truck again," she said. "You need to be careful." "Who?" There was a pause. I heard her inhale, then exhale through the phone. "My ex-husband." I didn't answer. The silence was a door between us again, the kind I didn't know how to open this time. "He came by to drop something off for our daughter," she continued. "He asked who was here last night." "You told him?" "I told him no one." That last word hung in the air like a slap. No one. When I showed up later, she didn't seem surprised. She just stood in the doorway, arms crossed, like she'd been waiting for the argument we were about to have. "You shouldn't have come," she said quietly. "You said you didn't tell him." "I didn't." "Then why does it sound like a lie?" Her expression flickered, guilt, maybe shame. "Because it is." She stepped aside, letting me in. The house smelled of rain and coffee, and something else, tension, raw and sharp. "I told him it was one of the workers from the maintenance company," she said. "That you were just fixing things around the house." I laughed once, without humor. "That's what I was doing, wasn't it?" She winced. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Make this sound cheap." I looked at her, really looked. There was exhaustion in her face, and something deeper. Fear, maybe. Or regret that she'd finally named what we were. You think I don't care? I said. I think you don't understand what this will cost me. She turned away, rubbing her arm like she was cold. The sleeve slipped, revealing a faint scar near her elbow. I hadn't seen it before. I stepped closer, reached out without thinking, tracing it with my thumb. She froze. From years ago, she whispered. When he got angry. Doors don't just break on their own. My hand stilled. The breath I'd been holding came out slow. You never told me that. I didn't want you to look at me differently. I already do. Her eyes found mine then, not pleading, not defensive. Just bare. You should hate me a little, she said softly. It'd make this easier. Instead, I took her hand, lacing our fingers together. She didn't resist. For a moment, the air between us thickened, fear and wanting tangled in one breath. Her voice trembled when she spoke again. You can still walk away. I won't. Then you'll ruin us both, she said. Maybe, I whispered, but not tonight. The distance between us vanished again, one step, one heartbeat, and this time, when she didn't move away, I knew what was coming next couldn't be undone. The storm had come back. Wind pushed against the windows again, the same sound as the first night, a warning, or maybe a memory. She stood near the living room window, her back to me, watching the rain like it could tell her what to do. I stood in the doorway, unsure if I should speak first. Finally, she said, you shouldn't be here. You've said that before. I meant it this time. Her voice wasn't sharp. It was tired, heavy with something final. But her hand, resting on the windowsill, trembled slightly. I took a step closer. Tell me to leave, and I will. She turned then, slowly, like she already knew she wouldn't. Her eyes met mine, and for a moment neither of us breathed. Why won't you make this easy? She asked. Because nothing about you feels easy. The air between us thickened, that invisible pull that had been building for weeks, glances that lasted too long, words that never landed where they should. She moved first. Or maybe I did. We met halfway, where logic used to live. You don't understand what this means, she whispered. You're chasing something that can't last. Then let it break, I said. Let it be real, even for a moment. Her eyes flicked to my mouth, then away. She took a step back, then stopped. You think this is about wanting? She asked, voice trembling. It's about being seen again. About feeling something I thought I'd lost. I nodded. Then don't hide from it. Her shoulders dropped, surrender or exhaustion, I couldn't tell. She reached up, fingers brushing the side of my face, tracing the line of my jaw like she was memorizing it. Every time you come here, she said softly, I forget how old I am. Every time I leave, I said, I remember how much I want to come back. She smiled then, small, pained, beautiful. Our foreheads almost touched. The air was warm between us, full of thunder and breath and something unspoken that had nowhere left to hide. I can't promise you anything, she whispered. I didn't ask for anything. Her hand slid to the back of my neck. My pulse stuttered. Her breath brushed my lips. The world outside disappeared, no neighbors, no judgment, no rules left standing. Just her heartbeat close to mine, just the quiet sound of her saying my name like a confession. We stood there, motionless, caught between what we wanted and what we knew we shouldn't want. Then, she closed the last inch between us, not with a kiss, but with her head resting against my chest. A softer choice. A harder one. Her voice was muffled against me. This will change everything. I know, I said, holding her tighter. The storm raged louder outside, and still, neither of us moved. We had crossed the line, not with lips, but with understanding. Morning came quietly, no storm, no thunder, just the soft light of a sky that had finally run out of reasons to fight. The house smelled of coffee. She was sitting on the couch, one knee drawn up, a blanket draped loosely around her shoulders. Her hair was still a little damp from the rain the night before. I stood in the doorway, watching her in that still moment before words return. You stayed, she said finally, without looking up. You didn't ask me to go. She smiled faintly. That doesn't sound like me. It sounds exactly like you. For a long time, neither of us said anything. The silence wasn't awkward anymore, it felt earned, like something we'd both fought our way toward. The rain had stopped, but its echo lingered in the windows, a soft reminder of everything that had happened between those walls. I've been thinking, she said, stirring her coffee even though it didn't need stirring. About last night. About everything. My chest tightened, waiting for the part where she'd ask me to leave again. But she didn't. Instead, she sighed, that kind of sigh that sounds like surrender. I spent years trying to keep my life neat. Predictable. I told myself that's what being an adult meant. And now? I asked. She looked at me, then eyes softer, clearer than I'd ever seen them. Now I'm realizing that some things aren't supposed to fit neatly anywhere. They just happen. I moved closer, sitting beside her. Our knees brushed, and she didn't move away. I don't know where this goes, I said honestly. Neither do I, she admitted. But I'm tired of pretending I don't feel it. Her voice dropped with that last word, barely above a whisper. I reached for her hand. It was warm, steady now. Our fingers intertwined naturally, like we'd been rehearsing that small gesture in every almost touch before it. She leaned her head against my shoulder, her hair brushing my jaw. You make me forget how careful I've always been, she said softly. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Her laugh was quiet, real. It's terrifying. Then it's real, I said. The light in the room shifted, bright and forgiving. Outside, the world was still damp and new, the kind of morning that makes you believe in second chances, even if you don't say the words out loud. We sat like that for a while, no promises, no plans, just the sound of two people who had finally stopped running from the same truth. Before I left, she turned to me, her hand still in mine. You really did fix the door, she said. I smiled. Yeah. It closes now. Her thumb brushed against my palm, lingering. Let's just make sure it doesn't stay that way forever. And for the first time, she leaned in and kissed me slow, sure, the kind that doesn't ask for more because it already means everything. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?